Why this project? Why now?
Well, we waited until after the results of the trial to release the project, but I started like almost 5 months before I was able to find Alex, and finding an Emmy Award-winning showrunner and director is detrimental to the project being really well put together. So, they should expect it to perform like Reggie Jackson's did.
So, guys, let's talk about the trending documentary about P. Diddy that is on Netflix and whose executive producer is 50 Cent. A lot of things have been said. People calling 50 Cent a very petty guy. A lot of people are liking the vibes from him, the whole energy from 50 Cent ever since P. Diddy was arrested. Was it not last year? Whatever, I can't remember the exact time it was arrested. So, guys, funny enough, these guys used to be friends, but when friends become enemies. And so we are going to be looking at various reactions, what people are saying about this documentary. I'm not going to give it any spoiler or anything. Let's just watch what people have got to say, and towards the end of the video I'm going to come back and talk about the lessons, because I've actually seen the documentary, and guess what, PDD did a lot. The whole story behind his fame, the death of people involved, the innocent 9 lives that were lost in the particular concert in the college. A lot of things are surrounding the fame PDD has today. So, guys, welcome to today's video. If you're new to this space, kindly subscribe to the channel, like the video, share, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and let us get right into the video.
So far, my biggest takeaway from this Diddy documentary is the most dangerous person you will ever meet is an insecure man. Because every single action that Diddy did that hurt somebody stemmed from his insecurity. And it is his childhood insecurity that stayed with him his whole life. And with him not dealing with that, it bred greed and jealousy within himself. He was envious of all the other people around him that he felt like he was better than. And he felt like he deserved their spot. And when he eventually did earn his place in the world, and people saw him for what he was as far as like having his talent, he still was envious and greedy. And it's so crazy because like when you're dealing with an insecure man that has as much greed and pride as Diddy does, nothing is ever enough for him. Diddy could have easily championed himself off of being the producer that's super forward thinking. Even though he's not musically talented, he can curate a vibe and he has a great ear for music. Diddy has one of the best ears for music. You know what I'm saying? As far as like in, not even just hip hop, but like music in general. Diddy is extremely talented in his own way, but since he's not talented in the way that he thinks is normal and other people think is like normal, he doesn't feel like it's enough. He has to take from other people. He has to take other people's spots. And that's why you see him constantly trying to steal side pieces from dudes, constantly trying to force himself onto like his artist platforms and trying to make himself the centerpiece. And this is exactly what happens whenever you live under patriarchy and you're forced into a certain role that you can't uphold. I talk about this shit all the time, bro. And the part that really drove that point home for me was whenever they were talking about how Diddy was pretty much a soft kid. You know what I'm saying? He was getting his ass kicked all the time. And his mom was beating the hell out of him. And she did it to make him a stronger man. But whenever your core basis is to be soft and you're faced with extreme violence and you shrink back into yourself as a little boy, right? And your mother's forcing traditional masculinity onto you through violence and punishment, this is the result, bro. You grow up to be an insecure man that's constantly overcompensating to force himself into being the type of man that they think that they should be instead of just being the man that they want to be. You know what I'm saying? You're constantly overcompensating because deep down, you know that you're still that scared little boy, that soft little boy. And you feel like if you let your guard down and if you let this facade of traditional masculinity slip, everybody's going to see you for what you really are.
I finished watching that Diddy documentary last night, which this was my first time watching any documentary on him. He legit rose to fame. The more people died. The charity basketball game, which was my first time hearing about that, and the 9 people that lost their lives, and he started to rise to fame after that, that was just crazy to process. And the more people died, he just continued to succeed. And that is freaking insane to me. Insane. And then you can see in that photo, in the video that Biggie did when he said like he was in fear of somebody about to kill him in LA, and the photo that they took together, you can see on Biggie's face the worriness that he had. Like he was legit in fear of his life. And this whole entire documentary was freaking insane. I knew about some stuff, but I didn't know about all of that shit that went down. That is crazy. And the reason why they had this behind the scene footage is because Diddy did not pay the videographer.
I finished watching Diddy's documentary, The Reckoning, yesterday, but there's some things that I still can't get off of my mind. As a millennial, some of the things that were covered were not that shocking to me because I've heard the rumors before. There's always been theories that Diddy was behind Tupac's death, that he was behind Biggie's death. We heard about the freak-offs. So on the surface, a lot of it wasn't a shock to me, but the details in evidence, especially from the people that were in close proximity to Diddy, had me thinking, wow, we had no idea. And there are some details that have shocked me to my core. There's quite a few for me to choose from, but one of the ones that I can't get out of my mind is when the sex worker was talking about the 9th of March. He said he couldn't understand why on the 9th of March every single year, like clockwork, Diddy would fly him out to have sex with him and Cassie. Do you know what the 9th of March marks? The anniversary of Biggie's death. So you mean to tell me, on top of allegedly being the cause of Biggie's death, on top of making it look like you were going to fund and plan his funeral, but really you were charging it to Biggie, switching out the terms of his contract to favour Bad Boy Entertainment, then taking his magazine cover opportunities because you wanted to be him so bad wasn't enough. That wasn't enough for Diddy. On top of all of that, he was doing annual freak-offs on the same day as the anniversary of his so-called best friend's death. Do you know how twisted you have to be? This man was going for women of the men that he was obsessed with. His baby mums and ex-girlfriends all had history with men that he wanted to be, that he wanted to emulate. Another part that shocked me was when Keith D admitted that after shooting Tupac, when the ambulance and police arrived, they were standing right there laughing. At the scene of the crime, they were standing there smoking and drinking and laughing, and the police and the ambulance were none the wiser that it was them. That it was them that had shot Tupac. How sinister. And then Diddy phoned them and was like, yo, was that us? Yo, was that us? Because he ordered the hit. I've always felt that Diddy had a dark nature, but after seeing this documentary, his darkness has no bounds. It has no bounds. The man is not okay. Like, I can't get over it, guys. I can't.
I just finished watching the Diddy documentary over the last couple of days. Highly recommend if you have the stomach for it. And I feel like I have a bit of a hot take. This man bulldozed his way to stardom. He rose to fame off of the downfall of others, and he was partly or fully responsible for multiple people's deaths. I know this can sound a little far-fetched, and if you do not believe in God or the devil, this is not for you. I do believe, and I cannot shake this feeling that the reason why he rose to stardom off of the downfall of others, including people losing their lives, was because he sold his soul to the devil. I had this like weird achy feeling when I watched it. It was terrible. But at the very end of it, I was like, there's no way. There is no way that this man did not do that. Like, if that does not scream satanic worship, I don't know what does. Really like cringe thinking about it. It feels very, very strange to even talk about. And we all know that Hollywood, the entertainment industry, has its like dark side, and it has its urban legends, it has its lore. Anyways, I just had to know if someone else felt the same way because I have not heard this take yet. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Also, this is not my normal content, but I am a sucker for watching like a TV series. I love to binge shows. I usually don't talk about them after the fact, but this one was so disturbing. People said it on the show, like, this man's the devil. Like, he was so awful. But 50 Cent, man, he's the man.
All that Diddy documentary taught me was that I will never fuck with people who want to be rich and famous, but they have no type of passion. Those are the most dangerous type of people. Like, obviously everybody wants to have money, everybody wants to be rich, but like, I feel like you can mess with people who have a passion and they're like, oh, this is gonna be my way to fame and fortune. But it's those people that be like, oh, I want to be rich and famous, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, how are you gonna do that? And they're like, I don't know, but I'm gonna get there any means possible. Ooh, Those are the type of people that will do you dirty. And they'll also be so jealous of anybody who actually has like a natural talent. That's why Diddy was 50 years old in the studio taking 6 months to record one verse, because he is always, all the fame and fortune, he was a billionaire. None of that mattered because all he really wanted was to be talented. That's it. But anyways, y'all, clock the pony. Is she tea?
Obviously, Diddy and his team are willing to go after anyone that says or does anything against Diddy's narrative. And the documentary has already painted Diddy as the type of person that holds grudges and will always come back for the people that have crossed him. So imagine these people have spoken big and bad about Diddy in this documentary, not only for Netflix, but for 50 Cent, who has been antagonizing Diddy for ages. Like, everybody knows those two don't like each other. 50 is Diddy's enemy. Do you really think that when Diddy comes out of prison in 2028, he's not going to try and get these people? Even when you look at the people that worked with Diddy in his earlier career, Mace fled to Christianity, Shine ended up in prison, and after that he decided to go into politics. Craig Mack, who they didn't really speak about after the whole Biggie fiasco, I did some research on him, and apparently after his relationship with Bad Boy Entertainment went south, he joined some religious cult, and then he had some issues with his health, and God rest his soul, he's passed now. Then you got Loon. Loon wasn't even mentioned at all. They didn't even show him at all. Loon went to prison and then ended up running to Islam. So everybody that was in close proximity to Diddy at that time, they either ended up almost going to jail, fleeing to religion, or they're dead. So I'm gonna need these lot to let us know what protections are in place for these people that spoke up against him. And I need us to keep a close eye just in case they don't just become unalived or they don't just disappear off the face of the earth one day. I'm just saying.
It's crazy the things fame can actually make you do. So for me, I'm just going to center on the lessons. If you want to watch the documentary, you just go to Netflix and watch it. It's one season with 4 episodes. It's not that long. I think if you're just seated watching it, each episode is about 40-45 minutes. Before you know, you're done. So let's take a look at what the lessons are talking about. And we are going to be centering on fame. You know, fame, that thing called fame, that is something that drives a lot of people crazy. A lot of people want to get famous because there are so many benefits attached to one being famous. Yeah. So let's take a look at some of these lessons. And number 1 is fame creates a bubble where accountability barely exists. One of the biggest lessons is how fame builds this invisible force field around people. When someone becomes a mega celebrity, everyone around them starts acting like they are untouchable. Not because they are perfect, but because their power protects them. These are one of the reasons people want to become famous, because when they get into shady deals like this, they can easily be covered for. Their money is going to speak for them. Their shady deals are going to be covered. And in the documentary, you see how people hesitated to speak up, how situations were excused, and how the industry often looked away. Fame didn't make him better. It just made the consequences softer. The lesson here is when society worships celebrity, we also give them room to get away with a lot. Then the number 2 lesson we are looking at is the entertainment industry runs on silence and loyalty, even when it's harmful. It's not just the entertainment industry. I think this is just something that exists in all human race, even in politics. These are things that play in your small circle. These are things that can be found. A huge takeaway is how the culture of the industry can force people into quiet suffering. Assistants, partners, artists, dancers, so many people felt they had to tolerate things because the whole system is built on don't ruin your opportunity, don't speak up, or you will never work again. That silence becomes a currency. And one of the lessons we can look at here is fame doesn't stand alone. There's a whole ecosystem helping protect it, even when it hurts people. And the 3rd lesson we are going to be looking at is fans often confuse talent with character. And that is the truth. Fans always forget that these celebrities they love so much are also human beings like them. These celebrities can err, they can make mistakes and errors, and they just want to cover up for these celebrities. One uncomfortable thing you see is how quickly people defend celebrities just because they like them. A good song, a legendary album, a cool moment from the 90s, suddenly that becomes evidence that they couldn't possibly have done something wrong. The documentary forces you to separate I love the act from but what about the person behind it. And also, admiring someone's work shouldn't blind us to holding them accountable. Accountability is very vital for every human existence, for every human living. And the fourth lesson we're going to be looking at is money plus celebrity can normalize chaos. Another quiet theme in the documentary is how certain behaviors get normalized when someone is rich and powerful. And this is one of the reasons people want to be famous. They want to get all the power, the control, all the wealth that comes with being famous. Things that would look wild or alarming in a regular household get brushed off in celebrity spaces as that's just how the industry is. He's just eccentric, is under pressure. But the documentary shows how a harmful environment can hide behind luxury, parties, and branding. Chaotic behaviors doesn't stop being harmful just because it's happening in mansions and private jets. And the last of it all is fame can collapse overnight when the truth comes out. And that is one of the essentials of life. No matter the things you commit in the secret, those things you do out there thinking nobody is seeing you, nobody is looking at you, guess what? Those secrets are going to be public one day. They are going to be made open to the eyes of the public, and everyone is going to know the kind of person, the kind of individual you are. The documentary really highlights how fame looks permanent until it isn't. We've seen a number of celebrities like that. We've seen a number of successful people that fall. The Epstein is there. We have what's this guy's name? The likes of R. Kelly, you know, a lot of celebrities, a lot of famous people like that had this fame, and all of a sudden they lost that fame in the twinkling of an eyes. Years of success, awards, businesses, influence, all of it can crumble once people start talking, sharing experiences, and connecting the dots. And that collapse is always faster and more brutal than the climb to the top. So being famous is not the same as being respected. One lasts, the other doesn't, unless your character backs it up. So that's one thing they say about character. If you have a good character, it can keep you, no matter how successful you are, no matter the errors you make. But once you have that character to be able to put your errors in check, trust me, you're going to go further in life. But the character is not there. Everything you are supposed to, use in keeping yourself in check is not there. Trust me, that fame is just going to go out. It's just going to go like a vapor. So guys, that's basically the biggest takeaway from this whole documentary. It's not just about Diddy, it's about what fame can really do when nobody checks it. Power, silence, money, image, it all mixes together and creates this world where anything can happen behind closed doors. So if there's one thing to live with, it's this: don't get blinded by celebrity, don't confuse influence with integrity, and don't ever think someone's too famous to be questioned. No. Anyway guys, let me know what you think about the documentary, because the conversation around this one are getting louder every day. Everybody is talking about this documentary. All social media platforms, on X, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, all social media platforms, you're going to see people reacting to this particular documentary. And if you've watched up to this point, then it means you are the real MVP. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we are going to see you in the next one. Peace out.